3rd, 2021, before down the City Council. This time I'd like to request everyone either turn on silent your electronic device. Thank you. Chief Hicks, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the Public Safety Committee to order to establish a quorum. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Revere.
Here.
Ms. Lacy.
Here.
Ms. Gordon.
Here.
Wolf first.
Thank you. Item number 4, the Police Department report. Chief Hicks.
Good evening, Mayor Lee, Mr. Hubble, Ms. Lacy, Mr. Brown, Mr. Gary, and Ms. Charlene. How y'all doing today? This evening. In order to keep both yourself and the City Council aware of the activities of the Port Allen Police Department, I offer this account of the month of February 2021. Alarm, home businesses, 33. Arrest other law enforcement agencies, 4. Custody matter, 3. Disturbance, 16. Traffic stops, 5. Theft, 9. Remaining at the forbidden, 11. Civil matters, 6. Port Allen Fire Department medical, 10. Check person, 5. Incidents by location, northeast of Court Street in LA 145, northwest of Court Street in LA 160, southeast of Court Street in LA 136, southwest of Court Street in LA 132, and south of I-10, 10. Total suspects arrested, 9. Forgery, 1. Remaining at being forbidden, 1. Theft, 2. Legal possession of stolen things, 1. And fugitive warrants, 6. Traffic crashes, total 27. Total traffic tickets, 47.
Chief, nothing that's real important was the ice storm. That was part of the high number of traffic accidents.
Yes, sir.
Anything else with the chief? Okay, Chief, this will be yours too. The request to advertise for a post-certified officer at the rank of sergeant at pay step 114 and 1 officer at pay step 112. Pay grades to be determined based on qualifications. Chief?
Yes, sir. Going through my department roster, I found that I had 1 opening to be filled, and as of yesterday, I had one of my officers that resigned yesterday. So that'll cover the opening that I currently had, and to replace this officer that resigned as of yesterday.
Anything from the chief? Make this an agenda item, please.
So how many sergeants do you have already, Chief? You said?
The only 2 sergeants that I currently have on the roster is Sergeant Casey Williams and Officer Freddie Christopher. That's it. Yeah, Freddie and Casey. That's the only 2 sergeants that I have.
And how many you should have?
4.
Item number 5, request for a line item in the budget, line item budget transfer of $3,000 from fuel to training to cover costs associated with departmental reorganization. Chief?
Currently, I have, the trained officers the way they're supposed to be trained. I have Detective Janice Schutz that's currently going to be starting detective school March 8th of next week. I have 2 officers, Nolan Duhan and Donovan Mitchell, that I want to send to field training school, so that they'll be my veteran and seasoned officer on the road to train these new guys and get these guys doing what they're supposed to do on and off the road. I want to send Sergeant Williams to Internal Affairs. schools so we can start handling in-house investigations instead of having to send them outside the department for other agencies to conduct. And I have one officer, Officer Hector, who's has to attend the Carter Academy in order to be post-certified.
I guess the reason for the surplus in the fuel is because the price of gasoline has been so cheap all year.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably right.
It's a good, well, it's a good thing. Just have to move money around. I'd like to make this an agenda item, please.
No, look, Jana Schutz, you say you want to send her for detective?
Yeah, she starts Monday.
Who's you have a homicide detective right now?
Detective Reve Smith.
Is it possible that we can know who resigned, or we can't know the individual that resigned?
Officer McNeely.
Can you give a reason?
It was a situation. It was conduct detrimental to the department.
How long have you been with the department?
Probably right at a year, a little over a year.
And just recently, we had an incident where it was a complaint. And internal affairs, I know who usually handle the internal affairs, but right now, our internal affairs are being handled by who?
Sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office?
Yes, ma'am.
The internal affairs department?
Yes, till I get Casey Williams sent to school where he can start conducting internal affairs investigations in the department.
And how long will that process take?
Hmm.
And how long will that process take?
The next internal affairs class is in May.
She asked how long would it take?
Oh, the class itself? I think the class is, 2, maybe 3 days, 3-day class. Hmm?
And then we'll be back handling our own internal affairs.
Yes, ma'am.
You think that'll be enough training for internal affairs for 2 or 3 days?
That's
That's already offered, that's where.
that's what the class offers.
Just to, I guess, piggyback on that, in the absence of our city attorney, the investigative techniques are the same as regular police work. The internal affairs element addresses the confidentiality and separating that information from access by other officers and the like. So it has more to do with the specific elements of an internal affairs investigation, but utilizing ordinary investigative techniques that you already have been trained on throughout your police department career.
I'm just not a big fan of using other agencies to do our work, internal affairs. I'm just not a big fan of that. I think it should be done in-house, so.
But that's why I'm sending Casey to go have that class taken so we can start doing it within the department.
Yeah, I know some things we can do in-house, but something we might need outside help.
Well, some things, if it's a conflict of interest, anything like that, then I'll ask an outside agency to conduct that so it wouldn't be no confusion or anything of that nature.
And that's not uncommon. And that arrangement to bring it outside to avoid that situation.
I mean, but we had somebody in the internal affairs, I'm just saying.
Anything else? Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank y'all.
Item number 6, the nuisance violation report. Inspector Gidry, an update on the condition of the property located at 734 Avenue G. Technical difficulty.
Since we actually talking about this item during a special meeting, could we remove it or just talk about it then? Would that be efficient or acceptable? All right, yeah. All right, I was all right.
That wouldn't be far.
Oh, and there you go. There you go.
There it is right there.
Afternoon, council. Got a recent picture of 734 Avenue G.
Would this be the same presentation?
These are pictures I actually took today. As you can see, I walked the whole yard
Would this be the same presentation?
from the front to the back, and it's still a lot of debris around the yard and on the porch and in different areas of the yard.
That's what I was asking. So what? Like, how would we properly do that? How
Yeah,
would
everybody. I think Evan
I
going.
made a suggestion. They agreed to it.
All right.
But when he walked in, we just moved forward with it.
We recently went to court on the 24th, and they gave them 15 days to clean the yard up. If they don't clean it up in 15 days, then we'll be able to go in the yard and abate the property.
That's what y'all did last time, correct?
That's correct.
Kevin, can you give us like an update on the status of the civil angle that we're attempting?
We're gonna put that in place after we get to the cleanup, basically. So we're still on the abatement portion itself, setting up the physical cleanup.
Is that 15 calendar days or what?
15 calendar days, yeah. So that's counting weekends also.
And when did it start on? The same day as court day or the next?
The same day as the court date. The court date was the 24th.
On the 11th?
Last Wednesday.
So it'll probably be about the 10th or the 11th.
Yeah, the 11th.
11th, yeah.
So the city gonna have to get a dumpster to sit out there to clean it out, or how you all gonna do it?
I think what we do, contract somebody, make some arrangements to, get it cleaned up.
Sir,
We have to make some arrangements to get it cleaned up. We have to contract somebody to clean it up.
I thought it was the city people.
No.
Had you talked to the homeowner, person that lived there?
The last time I talked to them was in court.
Did they express that they would clean it up?
They didn't have no choice.
I mean,
If
they don't,
well, she said that she was gonna try to clean it up, but but in the 15 days, but the way it looks, they just moving stuff around again. Right.
What date was the abatement served?
What is it?
The abatement notice was served, what date was that?
The abatement notice? As far as the courts, they actually started on that date.
Yeah, but didn't we send out a notice before that?
We sent out a notice before that. It was I would have to go back in my files and check.
The notice of, the city's notice of abatement, the recent one was served February 12th, the same date it was issued. So there's essentially two separate tracks going along. There's the city's abatement action, that's internal actions that the city itself is responsible for. The city itself is only doing that one, and then there's a criminal matter proceeding. Those are two completely different tracks, but they're both going toward the same result, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to figure out here is, if they received a notice on the 12th, which would be February 12th, we're going forward, at that point, they served notice that, okay, let's get this thing done. And so we're now up to March 11th, so we're right at a month. So, and the only reason I'm saying that is, I think that's ample enough time to even.
So the notice to abate gave them 10 days to clean the property or request a hearing before the city council. Mr. Eno did request a hearing before the city council, which is going to be the subject of the agenda item for the special meeting. So once the request for the hearing was made, there's nothing that can go forward until the hearing is disposed of, which will occur tonight. Then once the hearing tonight happens, depending on what the city council does, they'll have 5 days to appeal it to the 18th JDC, should the property owner want. So actually, the deadline that the judge gave in city court and the timeline on the city's enforcement action, they're actually going to come to a head right about the same time, within a matter of a couple of days of each other, which actually works out well for us.
And I was just getting a time frame because, judging by these pictures that came out today, you were put on notice back almost, well, it'll be a month, next week. So what I'm saying is they don't have any intention on cleaning it. That's my take on it. So I'm just trying to get the number of days, that's all.
So we can walk you through the timeline too, I think, in the special meeting. A lot of this is going to be covered in the special meeting.
Would now be the time for adjacent property owners to speak, or they would speak if they have anything?
If the committee so pleases, or they can
wait. But it is, I mean, it would be within their rights to speak at the special, the hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a special meeting that we're having. So it's a regular meeting, it's not a regular meeting, but it's a meeting of the city council, so
Okay.
any member of the public would have the right to speak.
Again, no further discussion at this moment on 734 Avenue G. Okay, we'll adjourn.
Call to order, Reverend Corn, roll call please.
Ms. Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Revere?
Here.
Mr. Brown? Here. Four present.
Item number 4, hear from Dan Dansby with NLC Service Line Warranty Program by Home Serve Line.
Thank you all for having me here tonight. Like she said, my name is Dan Dansby, and I'm with the National League of Cities Service Line Program, which is endorsed by, but the company I actually work for is called HomeServe. We administer that program. We're going to talk to you all about 2 programs, which is the Service Line Program and then the Serve Line Program. We're a Better Business Bureau company with an A+ rating, and we were the winner of the Torch Award for Marketplace Ethics. So that's just something that we're proud of, and we're always striving to maintain those high ethical standards. But what our program is designed to do is address the public policy issues of aging infrastructure, we know that communities all across the United States have been doing their part to either update or maintain the public infrastructure, but the homeowners portions of those lines are kind of being forgotten about. So that's why the National League of Cities started to look into these types of programs. They wanted to make a program like ours available to communities all across the United States. So they went out on behalf of cities and towns, and we were the company that they chose to provide this program. So what we do is partner with cities and communities to offer services to the residents. It comes at no cost to the city. It's completely voluntary for your residents. We provide residents with protections on their water service lines, their sewer lines, as well as their in-home plumbing. We handle all the aspects of the program, the marketing, the billing, the claims, the customer service, and the city can receive a revenue stream for participating with us in this program. So we know that that, like I said, cities are doing their part, but when a resident has an issue, typically their first call is to the city or to the utility if they have a water service line break or sewer line backup or anything with those lines. So with our program, what we would do is partner with the city and send out a letter to all your residents, and that letter is just completely educational. It lets your residents know their responsibility as a homeowner and that the city has partnered with us to make this voluntary program available to them. We provide up to $8,500 per incident on their exterior water service lines, up to $8,500 per incident on their exterior sewer lines, and then for their in-home plumbing, $3,000 per incident. One thing that's really great about our program and what our partners find most beneficial is that it educates those residents. There's no service fees, there's no deductibles, no annual or lifetime limits on the amount of claims your residents can have. So if they do have an issue with their water line, if it's a broken line, backup on their sewer line, whatever the case may be, they simply give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 7 days a week, and they just give us a call and we send out a local area licensed plumber to make the repairs. We only use local area licensed plumbers to make the repairs. And we do that for many different reasons. One is so that the money stays within the local community. And we also do it to make sure that the local contractors are doing those repairs up to the city standards. So if that's obtaining the correct permits, or if certain lines need to be repaired rather than replaced, then we want to make sure that's up to you guys' standard here at the city. As far as those contractors goes, if the city has a list of preferred contractors, then we would accept that. We do have partners who don't have a list of preferred contractors or do not want to provide that. And we go through our own vetting procedures to make sure those contractors are licensed, bonded, have the proper equipment, have no open complaints with the BBB. We just want to make sure your residents feel comfortable with the contractors that are coming out to their homes to make those repairs. Like I said, the city can receive a revenue stream from this program. So if a resident were to enroll, the city would receive 50 cents per a warranty contract. So if a resident were to enroll in the water line service, the sewer line, and the in-home plumbing, then the city would receive $1.50 each month. And that's paid out to the city in the form of a royalty check each January. The city can do whatever they like with that, with those funds. It's totally up to the city on how you want to allocate those funds. And then our serve line leak adjustment program. I know that here in Louisiana, the city can't write off water bills. That's one of the statutes here, but you can adjust on sewer bills. And so how this program works is if one of your residents were to have a water leak somewhere at their home and their water bill is 2 times their average bill, then we would come in and pay the city directly for that bill. So, for example, if a resident were to have a $100 water bill, but their water bill is typically only $30 a month, then what we would do is come in and pay the $70, and your resident would be responsible for their average water bill of $30. That does include leaks that they may have inside their home, as far as like a leak underneath the toilet or a sink that's dripping that needs a washer. As long as they can prove that they had a repair done there, then we would pay the city for that. So that is our 2 programs that I came here to speak to you guys about. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those for you guys. But thank you.
Do you have any literature? Do you have any? You brought a handout?
I did not bring any handouts, but I can email it to you guys or send you,
A company website?
yeah, I have my business cards that have our website on it. You just have to go to nlc.org, or you can go, yeah. With that NLC service line program, your residents are looking at less than $6 a month for that up to $8,500 coverage on the water. On the sewer, they're looking at less than $8 a month. And then on the in-home plumbing, it will be under $10 a month for that. But like I said, there's no service fees, there's no annual or lifetime limits on the amount of claims that a resident can have. So it does include lines that are embedded underneath a slab or basement floor. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm sorry, how would it be billed? Like individual, or you just go towards your water bill? How does that go, Lance? You know?
Sure.
The billing, how would the billing go?
The billing?
One would choose to take this
So,
particular service, or do you have to have a collective
No.
amount of people, or it could be on an individual basis?
it's on the end of, it's completely voluntary. So your residents, we send out a letter to them. If they want the coverage, then they can enroll it. We bill them for that. That's the NLC service line program. So, we bill them directly. They call us and we bill them. They can do it by mail, they can do it by credit card or over the phone. We do not call your residents. We don't bombard them with a whole bunch of mail. We only have 3 mail campaigns per year. And we get that approval from the city council before we mail that out. So we don't do this unless the city council says that you want to move forward with the program. For the serve line, the leak adjustment, since the city does provide water and sewer, that would be on the bill. That's a customer choice. So what we would do with that program is if your residents say, I don't want it, then they have up to 12 months to say that they don't want that, and we refund that money back to them on that program. But that would be on the utility bill. You're looking at $1.30 a month for up to $500 worth of leak adjustment. But it's still completely optional. They can cancel that if they do not want it.
And the website was nlc.org.
Yes, sir.
And you say repairs for up to $8,000?
$8,500 on their water service line, $8,500 on their sewer line. Another reason that we partner with Cities First is so we tailor that coverage to whichever portions your residents are responsible for. So I know here the residents are responsible up to the meter for their water, and on the sewer line it's to the main. So we cover up to that line. So I know there may be other programs or other things out there that your residents can enroll, but that typically stops at their property line. And the most expensive repairs are in the street. So if it is, to that meter, and that's where that leak is or break is, then you're looking at $2,500 to $3,000 just because it's underneath the sidewalk or street, which we cover that because we partner with the city to make sure we know what your residents are responsible for.
And it was $3,000 for the interior leaks.
Yes, sir. And they get
$3,000?
as many claims as they want to on all 3 of those, the water, the sewer, and the in-home plumbing.
Is there a percentage that the city collects for collecting the premium?
No, so there's 2 different programs. The NLC service line program, the city does not bill anything on that. We bill and we send you guys a check for that each January. The serve line program, yes, that goes on the utility bill, so you guys bill that to the residents and then send that back to us. Yes, sir. We do.
Do we get a percentage for performing that service?
Yes, sir. You can. Yes, you can. You can. So I want to say it's like $1.50. If the city says we want an administrative fee from that, then we can put on 25 cents or 50 cents to round it up to, the next dollar. However, the city wants to receive that revenue from that program as well.
So the city fee goes on the customer?
Yes, sir.
Pass through to the customer?
Yes, sir. And there's a list of the leak adjustment, which I'll provide to the mayor and to the council, to you guys, It's up to $500 worth of leak, or up to $1,000, up to $2,500. The city council decides on how much leak adjustment you want for your residents for their water and sewer bills.
Mayor, are we still able to make adjustments to the bills? Are we still able to make adjustments to the water bills?
I'm gonna make adjustments to the sewer portion of the bill when the leakage goes into the storm drain, which is not treated. We don't make adjustments to anything that is treated. We don't make any water adjustments. That's already treated.
Yeah, so the reason why that program was started is because in other states, utilities are writing off a lot of water bills. In Louisiana, they're writing off a lot of sewer bills. So this does work for water and sewer. In Louisiana, what a lot of cities and municipalities are doing is pretty much financing a water bill. So when that resident says, hey, I had a really bad leak, but it went through, and the city says, well, we can't write off your water, but you have to make payments on it. So we want to keep those residents from having to make those payments, and then having that accounting work for your utility department or public works department here, where we just come in and pay you guys for the leak that they had, and they don't have to worry about paying extra money on top of their water bills.
It sounds like everybody else don't. Okay. That's it. Any more questions?
Thank you all again. Appreciate it.
Community Development Committee. Item number 1, call to order. Item number 2, establish quorum. Item number 3, roll call. Here.
Here.
All right. Item number 4, hear report on community development activities. Ms. Rose Rocher.
Chairman Brown, committee members, other members of the council, elected officials, and guests, good evening. And there's a smile on my face because we're moving from phase 2 to phase 3. In the state of Louisiana, except New Orleans, but that does include the city of Port Allen. But we've still been hard at work doing various events and activities throughout the city. And of course, recently our projects have been to try to work to alleviate the food deserts in the city, and there have been 2 major food donation giveaways within the last week. On last Friday, there was one at William and Lee, and I know Councilman Gordon worked all evening to try to make sure that it was a success. And in the rain on Tuesday, we had another one, and it was over at the Church of God in Christ, and it was a super success. And the appreciative efforts from the members of the community, it was just so heartwarming to work with. So basically, you're supplying the need, especially for our elderly that really can't get out with the pandemic, and it really works well for us throughout the city of Port Allen. But to move on, now that we're out of phase 2 and we're moving forward, and we're making sure that everybody gets the immunization, we can do some other really positive things throughout the city. Currently, we're making plans for our Family Day in the Park, which is now scheduled for May 29th, all booked up at William and Lee Park. Juneteenth tentatively scheduled for June 18th. Hopefully we can get the 19th, but if not, we'll be there on the 18th, and we're very excited about that. We're putting our proposals together to try to get our grants and everything in for the event, and just excited about happening. Now that we can move out of phase 2, we're starting to plan our meetings so that we can get back to our destination downtown committees, and hopefully we can get our religious organizations together to try to move forward and help us also move and do some positive things with our giveaways and everything throughout the community, to empower our community to really do some positive things for our citizens that are here. So that's very exciting. And of course, as we move forward, we will have start our committee meetings for our Christmas on Court Street, our community prayer breakfast, and our other senior citizens event. We're currently planning these meetings, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, you guys will be seeing letters and emails and everything from us to try to move this forward. At this time, I'll take any questions, suggestions, or anything you might have.
Real quick, just thank you, for setting them. I don't know who was responsible for the first water station.
Professional, the professional funeral directors actually paid for it, and they also really want to do some great things in the community. They're planning a family day within the community. Hopefully they can have a block party with approval in the next couple of months, so we're excited about working with that group on doing that. And we know the crew of community just did a wang dang doodle bang up job on that project that they had. That was very, very exciting. And even though it was a community organized event, it really involved a lot of people, and I think it really brought some positive vibes into the city. And I think we're planning for St. Patrick's Day. Am I correct, Council?
More for Easter.
Oh, they pushing Easter, so we're excited to try to get some things going and working with that group, and it's just a very positive group with good spirits and good vibes going. So it's a great thing. So to have a group such as that in the city, and whatever we can do to try to make it happen, we're there with them working to make it happen.
I thank you already, Councilwoman Lacy, you and your committee who spearheaded the crew of community through the inaugural 5K. It was a huge success.
Really was.
Good time had by all.
Yes, it was. Yeah, Council Lady Lacy, Mr. Bass, Councilman Revere was there, Council Lady Gordon, and a lot of citizens throughout the community. And it was a great experience.
Thank you too, Ms. Rose.
Oh, we enjoyed it. It was Chief Brown. Chief Hicks. Oh Lord, please don't. Oh my God, Chief Hicks. And oh my God, I'm not gonna get any police protection. Chief Hicks and the policemen, yeah, thank you. Y'all were really, really helpful. And even on Tuesday, you came out and the policemen really were helpful in actually working with us in the rain to get our boxes given. Oh my God, blame it on my age, not my heart.
I also want to thank you too, Ms. Rose, for being out there with the community. We was out there in the rain, but we had a really good time.
We got it done.
I'll tell you, we moved those boxes so fast. I don't know if it was the rain or just us out there having fun, but it was good to see
It was,
coming
yeah.
out and receiving the boxes.
Right, and
I think a lot of them was very excited.
yeah, and they were very thankful. And of course, this time we had the Foremost Dairy Company, so we had milk to give the families. It was just a variety of things, and it was, of course, the farmers to family. So everything was fresh, everything was Louisiana grown, and it was just a great atmosphere for that too. So that's the spirit of community that we want to come together and make things work. And we're always open to things, but this is the type of thing we want to do for our community to build a positive environment and empower the community to move forward.
And I definitely want to thank the businesses here in Port Allen, because they
Definitely, they
made the
did.
road. So I
They
thank you.
did. They did. They've been fantastic. Every one of them, yeah. All right, any questions? All right, so look for the letters and the emails, and we'll be contacting everybody within the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Item number 5, discuss the re-subdivision of a portion of square 56, square 57, and a portion of square 58 of Con subdivision.
Good evening. This item came up before the Planning and Zoning Commission last week. It passed unanimously. Mr. Francois Boulanger is the contracted purchaser of these parcels of property, and he's planning to subdivide them into 24 lots. I believe you all have maps of the planned subdivision. It'll be on the agenda next week for your consideration. This property was previously rezoned from commercial property to residential 3, and that requires a minimum of 7,200 square feet for each lot. at a minimum 1,000 square feet for the principal structure. The lots all meet the minimum requirements, and it's our understanding that the structures will be submitted and approved as they are built. So we will ensure that they all meet the zoning requirements for the particular classification. If you have any questions? All right. Requested that be an agenda item for next week.
For next week? Oh, well, yeah, I'm talking to, well, item number 6, adjourn.
Call the Personnel Committee to order to establish a quorum. Could we have a roll call, please? Here.
Ms. Gordon. Mr. Revere.
Here.
Item number 4, discuss recommendations for approved positions.
So, as you know, we've had some openings that came about, some due to retirement, some due to resignation, some due to terminations. And we just wanted to inform the council, the committee, that we're moving forward with plans to hire and identify assistant supervisors in roads and drainage, water and gas, and the sewer department as a result of upcoming staffing turnover that we anticipate. We're trying to be proactive. I mean, we know these things are happening, we just cannot speak on specifics publicly. So, once again, I'd like to reiterate that in one department alone, we're losing over 80 years of experience within 18 months. So it is our intention to identify individuals who are capable of being trained and to begin the training process while we have those senior members still here, so that we can transfer as much of that knowledge and skill and experience as we can. Any questions?
Well, I would say that I took your advice
Mm-hmm.
and I went, I had a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with the supervisors and the other personnel,
Mm-hmm.
and we're definitely moving in a good direction by making this move.
I appreciate that.
And I understand there are some information that can't be disclosed. We're not at liberty to disclose that information. But from what I gathered, that these positions are definitely needed positions. And it's a move in a good direction. So I just want to feel comfortable. Like I said, I took your advice. I don't know how many others did that, but I did.
Well, we appreciate that.
Is there anything else on this topic? Okay, we'll move to make that agenda item for next week. Move on to item number 5, discuss special hire in the Public Works Department.
And this item will come up for discussion in the special meeting, but as a result of a retirement in our wastewater treatment department, we currently have one individual that is qualified to run our sewer treatment plant. And unless that individual works every day from here until we find a suitable employee that's trained and qualified, we're making preparations to prepare for a backup individual in the event that person is sick or unable to work or wants to take vacation time that they have accrued. So we just wanted to inform the council that as a result of that retirement and the circumstances required by state of Louisiana Department of Health and DEQ, we would like to be prepared in the event that our one qualified individual who has been temporarily moved to the supervisor position is unable to come in for some particular reason. This person would be hired on a part-time basis and as-needed basis. Meaning that we'll only call that person to come in if our current supervisor is unable to be on site at that particular time.
So you won't be a part-time worker, you just be a.
Well, part-time in the sense that we're gonna limit his hours to a part-time basis as much as we can, but it's only as needed. So if he's needed, he'll only be able to work part-time hours. We're gonna set a maximum. Pardon me?
How he has part-time worker and has much needed?
No.
So as he part-time worker, will he just be there just to supervise the other supervisor, or is he gonna be actually working, or?
He's
what
gonna
is he
be as needed in the sense that if our current wastewater treatment supervisor is available and working, we will not need to have this individual come in at all. But in the event we do need that person to come in, due to the regulations required, we only need 4-hour periods to cover. So that individual will be only allowed to work up to the maximum for a part-time employee over the course of a month on those times that he may be needed. It's not a full-time hire, it's as needed, but that's going to be a maximum of the amount of time that he's employed in the event that he does come in.
And he has all the credentials that's needed as well, correct?
Class 4 certification in both collection and treatment.
So if we need a class 4, do we already have somebody with a class 3? They not.
We have a person with class 3 treatment. We do not have an individual with class 3 collection.
Do you need a class 4 or class 3 for collection?
You need a class 3 collection. I'm sorry, you need a class 3 treatment to run the wastewater treatment plant.
So who's running now?
Mr. Bradford,
And what class?
Fillmore Bradford, he has a class 3 in wastewater treatment. He has a 2 in collection.
So, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
Okay.
You saying part-time, and then you said you're gonna call him as needed.
That only means that if he's needed to come in, he'll come in. But no matter when he comes in, his maximum amount of hours will be limited to part-time status.
And what would it be his pay?
Pardon me?
What his pay would be?
His pay, it hasn't been determined yet. We want to get the item passed first, and then we'll address that going forward. But this is for informative purposes. It'll be open to more discussion in the special meeting. Any questions? Thank you.
Item number 6, adjourned.
So Finance Committee call to order. Item number 2, establish a quorum. Roll call, please.
Ms. Lacy?
Here.
Mr. Hubble?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Former President.
Item number 4, discuss cost increase for employee insurance coverage.
All right, thank you for having me tonight. Oops. Stand up.
All right. I'm gonna go over the package I just handed out to you. If you don't mind, I'm gonna take this mask off. Oof. So we got a lot to cover. We had a pretty bad claims year this year, so we got a lot to discuss. So if you'll open your package up, I'll briefly go through that with everyone. So if you look inside your package on the left-hand side, I want to review that first with you. That is your claims report for this year. And no need to go through every item, but I mean, we had some substantial claims this year. As you can see, for the current plan year, the premiums paid in was $275,000 and the claims was $413,000. So that's like 176% what they call medical loss ratio. In other words, they paid out 76% more than what they took in. So that's the reason why I don't have good news. I don't like delivering bad news, the worst part of my job. But we did go out to the marketplace to every possible carrier that would consider offering us the same equal protection. And we'll go over that. That's on the green folder on the right-hand side. Any question on the claims report before I go there? Okay. Okay, the first page inside the package is just your current plans. You offer 3 plans to your employees. The middle plan is what's called a base plan, which is where the city sets their contribution levels. The city pays 85% of the employee costs and additional 30% if anyone's carrying a dependent, okay? So that's where your contributions lay. The employee's got the right to enroll in that plan or the plan on the left or the right. The plan on the left is what's called a buy-down plan, which is one that's not as rich in benefits, so the cost of that employee goes down, but the city still contributes the same dollar amount that they would have paid on the base plan. And then the plan to the far right is a buy-up plan. Of course, buy-up, that means it's a little bit richer plan, and employees have the right to enroll in that, and they pay the cost difference above for having the richer benefit plan. And if you look at the bottom, you can see that, you know, for the plans, how many employees enrolled in this. You got 14 in the buy-up plan, 28 in the base plan, and 5 in the buy-down plan right now. And as far as the renewal is concerned, there's no changes in the benefits. And you can look at the bottom, you can see the rate adjustment. There, initially, it was a 47% rate adjustment. We were able to work with United Healthcare and got it down to a 40% rate adjustment. Any questions so far? The next page is just some plan options that we ran with United Healthcare in case you wanted to change the benefits to reduce the cost. And we can discuss each and every one of those options if you want to. Whatever you see in red is a change. And we had to remember you got 3 medical plans. So this is just the base plan. If you look at the top, it says base plan. The first column, that's your current benefit plan for the base plan. Then you have 3 options if you want to change benefits. Whatever you see in red would be a change in benefits. So I'll just give you an example. If you decided, hey, we want to enroll in option 2, where your deductible would change from the $1,500 to $3,000. You see it in red there. Co-insurance instead of 80% would be 70%. Co-insurance is the part that the insurance company pays. And then you see your copay changes. Of course, your out-of-pocket would go up too. And then at the bottom, you can see instead of a 40.1% rate increase, that would warrant a 21% rate increase. So if you change the base plan out to that plan, that would be the plan that you would contribute your 85% on. But we got some examples broken out for you. And then the next page is the buy down plan. The far left column is the current plan that's in place. Then you can do three options on it too. So if you want to reduce the cost on that plan also, I would probably focus more on the base plan where the city makes its contribution, which is your highest enrollment. But you do have the option to change to a different plan there. And then the same on the next page is the buy-up plan, the current plan that you have in place now. And we gave you three different options. Reducing the benefits on that plan would reduce the cost tremendously also. And if I'm going too fast for anyone, please slow me down, okay? The next page is options we got from Blue Cross. Blue Cross was the only company that was even close to competitive. Most of the other companies, actually only Blue Cross and Humana issued a quote. The rest of the carriers declined the quote. So you can see the Blue Cross plan, they quoted the same three plans, not the same benefits. There's a little bit of change because whatever you see in red on Blue Cross is a change from your current plan. So you would see, let's use your base plan, which is the middle plan in yellow and the middle plan in blue for Blue Cross. You see your deductible is the same, but the family deductible goes from $3,000 to $4,500 on the Blue Cross plan. Your primary care doctor visit would go from $25 to $40. The specialist would go from $55 from $45. Your out-of-pocket limit would go up on the Blue Cross plan from $4,000 to $4,750 for an individual and from $8,000 to $9,500 on family. Prenatal care is currently covered at 100% on your current plan. With Blue Cross, you would have a $55 copayment there. Let's see, next in red is your urgent care is currently at $50. That would change to $55. Currently, on your current plan for speech, physical, or occupational therapy, you only pay a $25 copay. That's a biggie there. With Blue Cross, you'd have to meet your deductible first, and then Blue Cross would pay 80%, and you would pay 20%. And then down to the prescription drugs, no deductible on either plan, but your $10 copay would go to $15 with Blue Cross, and your $35 copay would go to $40 with Blue Cross. And for the Tier 4, they're both identical. And that would be a 38% rate adjustment instead of the 40. So I really don't think it's worth it for the 2%, but again, that's your call to make. The next page is the Humana's quote. We don't even want to discuss them. The Humana rates is a 283% rate adjustment. So that's outrageous. I can't even believe it said something like that. But. Next is on the dental plan. The dental plan had no rate adjustment. So your current dental plans with United Healthcare has no rate adjustment. Again, we always go to the market anyway. We did get one would be a little bit lower with the Meritas for 2%. I don't know that's worth disrupting your employees for that, because again, whenever you change, you're going to be changing to a different network. So employees are used to the network that they've been in with United Healthcare for a long time. For 2%, it only saves about $30 a month on the whole group. Because dental insurance, of course, is not as bigger rates as it is for the medical. The same thing on the vision plan, Ameritas, what came in the lowest on that. It's a 7% reduction. Again, United did not adjust the rates on the dental or the vision plan. And you can see your monthly cost, if you did want to change to Ameritas, would save $11 a month for the entire group that's enrolled. On the back page, we have your plans analyzed for you with your contribution levels. You can see right next to the orange block where your contributions made by the city on the plan at the 85%, 30% for dependents. Again, that's based on the base plan, which is your top plan here. And then you can see it in the very bottom, we have your costs broken out. Currently. And then on the next page, we have it with the rate adjustment broken out for you. We have your increase broken out and the cost increase that it would be to your employees. Now, I know most municipalities, just like private employers, do not budget for such a rate adjustment, so I know this is not easy to swallow for anyone. So we're willing to work with you on any concerns or questions that you have or other options or help you to develop some type of strategy to best meet this. I know in our meeting yesterday that we had some conversations about that in reference to the financials. If you look at the last page in your booklet is a rate history. It's kind of like, and again, nobody does this, but I mean, sometimes when you have good years, maybe you need to sock a little bit of money away, but your rate history, you can see when we moved to United Healthcare in 2016, Blue Cross was giving us a 13% rate adjustment, and United gave us a 12% rate reduction. So it was a big savings there. And over the years, we've done very well. We had minor increases. Last year, we didn't have any rate increase, so our rates have stayed the same for 2 years. And over the 5-year period, the city's only average a 3.13% rate adjustment. It's just this past year, I mean, you have health insurance in case you have a health condition. We had several large claimants, several claims that's still ongoing. To our knowledge, they're ongoing. And so they know they're going to incur even more claims for the upcoming year. Questions for me?
Before we make any kind of decision or any suggestion to the council, so there's a lot of numbers for us to go over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a pretty picture, but yeah.
It's not.
Maybe the rest of the council, you can.
I mean, I'm not looking for any decision or anything like that, but if you just got general questions, I'll be glad to come back, whatever. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate y'all.
to amend the agenda.
Second.
I'm sorry, item number 4A, to hear from,
We need to do a roll call vote on that. Yeah, and you need to give a description on what you want to vote in. It's just a brief description on the subject matter, and then we need a roll call vote from the committee, and that vote needs to be unanimous.
to amend the agenda to hear from Bob White with Essential Solutions regarding the email system upgrade. I need a roll call
Ms. Lacy,
here.
Mr. Hubble,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Item 4A, hear from Bob White with Essential Solutions regarding email system upgrade.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, council members. Thank y'all for having me. I'm sorry that this is, I guess, more bad news. We've actually been trying to get this done for a very long time. The current email system that the city has is a POP3 system, which basically means there's a server in the cloud that you get your email from. You download it, it puts you on your computer, deletes it from the server, and there's no retention policy at all in place. So what we recommend is going with Exchange Online, which is a Microsoft product, and we migrate your existing emails to that cloud system, and we put in retention policies that the state and local governments require. So I don't know how much. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to. This is the policies that I have copied for you guys. Does everybody have a copy? Okay. So the policies that I have here, Louisiana retention policies, are what we've used for all other customers, other cities, Louisiana boards, and things like that. In order to comply with FOIA requests or if you have a legal hold or anything like that, you need the ability to make sure those emails can't be deleted. If it's city business, to the best of my knowledge, it would need to be retained. Currently, if it's deleted, it's just gone by any member. So there are exceptions. The one they give in this policy is if you send an email that says there'll be cake in the boardroom at noon, then that's, or a personal email, then it doesn't need to be retained. Other than that, if it's city business, it should be retained in case there is, action. For a given policy, a given document. So if you retain the water bills that you send to customers for 3 years, then any email pertaining to a water bill would need to be retained for 3 years, just as an example. It's based on your policy. There are two alternatives to this. One is a step back in technology. It would be a manual method, and it's just print every email and file them. Obviously, that's not recommended. Over time, you would save more money getting your own server, installing Exchange in-house, and hosting your own email. This number is the first number on your quote is a recurring yearly number. If we were to get your own server, the first year you'd pay a number larger than this, but you would use that server for a period of at least 5 years. Right, so you would pay up front a little bit more, but we would have that server in place to have however many emails we need, right? That's really all I have. The count, if we're in error, I would hope that it would be high, but that's the best number that we have for all employees. Any questions?
Yeah, so this number, the quality number, that was just a roundabout figure that 65 employees use email addresses for the city? Yes.
Well, currently, we have roughly 56 employees. We've had requests from 2 new council members for email addresses, which we added to that. And the remaining remaining was a buffer,
Okay.
which, that's just a number to give you an idea. If we were to do 65, we do have some open positions. And because of other transitions that are being made in other departments relative to communicating with our staff, we're going to assign everyone an email. Currently, everyone doesn't have one. That's just the number we would need to provide one to everyone.
All right, all right.
We use a lot of paper now. We're trying to transition
Understood.
to a
Understood.
more, you know,
User-friendly,
user-friendly, you know,
modern times.
you know, up-to-date system.
Understood.
And council members to piggyback on that, we've actually encountered this problem as well. And it's not that Port Allen is doing anything wrong, it's what Port Allen is doing, and quite common for municipalities on smaller municipalities. Essentially, the system that you have now, the way I understand it, is that, once those emails, once that data comes down on your computer, all of your computers across the city, it's not on one network. They can't really communicate with each other. They're their own separate computers. So you have no way of kind of, policing them from a central standpoint. And some of the issues that we've gotten, especially in the realm of public records requests, where, we get a public records request for such and such records. Well, when you have a system that interacts with each other, one person can go and type in certain key terms, and then run a search, and that search will pull all emails that match those search criteria. All emails in the city system. The way Port Allen's configuration is set up right now, you can't do that. You would have to go to every single computer, every single email account, and run an individual search on that one machine. So that's an example of of an issue that we've encountered on the legal side of things, and moving to a more upgraded system would certainly help out with that. The default rule is, we're supposed to adopt a records retention policy and file it with the Secretary of State's office. The default rule under state statute is that, if you don't have a records retention policy on file that sets a specific records retention time frame for a given type of record, the default rule is that you have to maintain it for 3 years. You can adopt a policy that allows you to dispose of them earlier or dispose of them later, but that's where that 3-year period comes in. It's just the default rule that, nobody should be deleting emails or getting rid of documents that are not 3 years old. So you also have some storage issues that you can start to run into as well.
Right, and I'll just add to that if anyone goes into their email and deletes an email, it's simply gone right now. With the Exchange server in-house or the Exchange server in the cloud, which is this proposal, it would stay on the server, even if deleted, so that you can comply with FOIA requests or any other requests.
So it's something that we definitely can all access. We all have access to be able to retain our emails, kind of like an accountability measure.
Correct. I mean, each person has access to their own email, where it is right now. So no one else would have access to the mayor's email. No one else would have access to your email, except IT as a whole. If we did this, we would have access to search everything, as he was speaking about. If we wanted to search everything on the water records or a given customer because there's a lawsuit, we could search all email for that term of that person's name and find that, if there's a lawsuit about a water bill or something like that, as an example. Right now, we would have to go, he's correct, we'd have to go to each computer and search each mail file individually for, and I think we have, for a records request.
So yeah, we'll have to make this an agenda item in order, so.
make it an agenda item? Motion. You need a motion, please? Okay. Item number 5, adjourn.
Thank y'all.
Good evening, council. Got one thing we need to add to the agenda, and on this time with the correspondence, I'm allowing Mr. Tony Aricole, our engineer, to speak on the grown agreement that they have in place, give us an update as to the process of doing the cooperative endeavor with the parish grown to take on 1 million gallons of sewer at that particular facility. So, Mr. Aricole?
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, council. Yeah, I actually have good news. Obviously, the Grown has been speaking to the parish and to the city about perhaps committing funds to build a regional wastewater treatment facility that the municipalities and the parish could join in and save money. When they first came to us, basically their parameters were having a top flow of like 1 MGD. And unfortunately, when we have wet weather, our flow exceeds that. And so that kind of, if you will, made it sort of a deal breaker. So we really, couldn't pursue it further. With additional meetings and additional discussions with them, they, I don't know if they changed it or they just didn't make it clear in the first place. They've given us an average of 1 MGD and a peak of 2.5. If we can work within those parameters, then assuming that, the project goes on and all the cooperative endeavor, boxes are checked, they would actually build a regional facility at their cost, operate it, and we would just have to pay the cost to bring the wastewater to them. The only thing I'll say is, and obviously, the cost for a treatment plant for us, our size city, is about $14 million. So it's a big deal. The one thing we would have to do is we'd probably have to take the existing plant and modify it somewhat so it would work as a peak wet weather only facility. If I had to guess, that thing would probably only operate less than 5 times a year, and then maybe eventually not needed at all. We did a similar thing in Plaquemine, and they were able to, after a certain amount of time, because it wasn't used, they were able to basically bulldoze their old plant and kind of set it up as a storage area. There's really hasn't been any kind of detailed discussion on the ins and outs of the cooperative endeavor agreement, and since this just happened like literally this afternoon, there hasn't been any cost parameters made on how to get there. But obviously you've got to go under the interstate, you've got to go under the intercoastal canal, but I can promise you that's a lot less than 14 million. And quite frankly, even if you were to build your own plant remotely, you'd still have the cost of getting there. So, I'm excited. This is good news. It has the potential saving, the city at least $10 million, I think, in my opinion. So that's pretty exciting. One thing I'm throwing this in, and it's not really, I guess it wasn't on the agenda. In any of these, items, I mean, if you tell me if if money was to come from the sky, which this Grown project actually kind of is, when will we, flip the switch and go to a new plant? It would be a miracle if it was less than 3 years. And so I would encourage y'all, and I have my own little list, and the new plant superintendent has his own little list. I would encourage y'all to at least do some stopgap improvements at the existing wastewater treatment plant, because it's in dire need. I don't have any costs or specifics right now, but I'd like to maybe present it, probably not your meeting next week, but probably your meeting next month. I'd like to present some things that I think you just really can't do without. Any questions on any of this stuff, y'all? It's pretty exciting, quite frankly.
Tony, like you said, the average, say 1 million a day, rainy weather, then up to 2.5. And I know it would be an expensive undertaking, but as far as some kind of way of alleviating, and like I said, it's not gonna be easy to alleviate some of our infiltration. I mean, maybe that's something we can begin to focus on if this does come to fruition.
And I totally agree. I think, been doing this for quite some time and have done a couple, worked on a couple $500 million programs in the city of Baton Rouge, and your I&I it's like anything else, like almost health thing on a body. You've got to keep it up. You can't just ignore it, because then it just gets totally out of hand. But what I will say is right now, our dry weather flow, when we're not affected by the level of the river, is between 500 and 700,000 gallons a day. So we have, we have some growth in there, and our peak, it's really hard to tell, but it seems like it's very rare that it comes over the 2.5. So I'm encouraged that we have parameters that, we can definitely work with from that perspective. But yes, you need to do I&I program as well. But right now, and again, these are all very, I guess, loose, not decided parameters, but according to the GROM people, that essentially there would be, other than the, transportation cost to get there, there would be no treatment cost to the city.
Just as something off the top of my head, I mean, and y'all may have already discussed something like this. We've done our road rehab in phases. If we could begin a program like that, just to stay on the I&I part of it. I mean, that's just an idea.
Most, most people that are, have some recurring financial capability do that. Most larger cities like the Baton Rouge and New Orleans of the world, if you have, and I'm just using as a parameter, the general idea is in a 10-year span, you want to have gone through all your system and then start back over in a 10-year span. And we have done a couple rehab work projects. We did a little bit in the West Side Village area before we put in that pump station, but that's really the tip of the iceberg. It's not a lot in what y'all have. Any questions on anything? Obviously, I'll update y'all as we go through.
We didn't get to this particular point. I mean, if the grown option does come to fruition, what type of growth capacity does that give us going forward?
When I gave them the numbers, I basically said that anything, I guess, south or west of the intercoastal, they had to already have in their numbers. So you're really talking about, I mean, the peak's 200, but if they do it based on biological loading, it's like 35–40%. It's a lot, of what you have now. So imagine without the part getting 40% more. I mean, you can't guarantee anything beyond that, but it's a pretty substantial amount.
You had to, off the top of your head, convert that to rooftop. I hate to put you on the spot, but
Yeah.
sorry, but I'm just curious as to
Maybe 6,000 to 8,000 additional.
Fair enough.
Any other questions, y'all?
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
I'm excited about it.
You will, hopefully, next month, John will.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're gonna go into the City of Port Allen special meeting, scheduled for March 3rd, following the committee meeting. May advise that due to the public health emergency caused by the COVID-19 virus, the following requirements will be enforced. City council meetings. Anyone entering the building must wear a mask. Entry into the council chambers will be limited to 75%, but now going to be reduced to 50% of the maximum capacity, with all occupants seating in designated seats. Each person must decide before entering the chamber which agenda item they wish to comment on. If they are not seated in the chamber when the agenda item is heard, they will be notified by an officer to enter the council chambers to address that agenda item. So request for all cell phones to be silenced, electronic devices to be silenced, and agenda item called to order. Everyone stand for the pledge. Mr. Loach, you want to lead us in the pledge? Sure.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Agenda item 3, roll call.
Ms. Gordon?
Here.
Mr. Hubble?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Lacy?
Here.
Mr. Revere?
Here.
All present.
Everybody's present.
Agenda item 4, consider request to appeal the notice of abatement of property located at 734 Avenue G on behalf of Mr. Darrell Esnott, Public Safety Committee.
All right, council members, this is a request for an appeal. If you remember at the January 10th meeting, the council authorized some actions to essentially set up a public physical cleanup of the property if necessary, as well as authorize a civil lawsuit. 2 days, well, that was Wednesday, February 10th, when the council gave that authorization. On February 12th, 2021, a notice to abate was sent to Mr. Darrell Eno, Mr. Landon Eno, and Ms. Rachel Whitehead. In that notice to abate, they were cited for violation of 5 of Port Allen's ordinances, section 34-4B9, the keeping of one's premises in a disorderly and untidy condition so as to be offensive to the neighborhood, section 34B12, the keeping of one's yard or premises in an untidy or unsightly condition so as to offend the sensibilities of the neighborhood, section 3417, the presence of junk, on any private lot, within the city shall be deemed a public nuisance. Section 3428(3)(f), the property has to be maintained so as to keep rodents from nesting and to prevent rodent infestation. Section 3428(1), a derelict structure is one constituting a hazard to life because of inadequate exit facilities constituting a fire hazard. That notice to abate informed the 3 individuals that they had 10 days from their receipt of the letter to clean the property, or as a result of city ordinances, they could request a appeal before the city council by submitting a written request within 5 days from their receipt of the letter. That notice to abate was served on all 3 individuals on February 12th, which commenced their 10-day period. On February 19, 2021, the mayor did receive a written request for an appeal before the city council by Mr. Darrell Eno. No request for an appeal was filed by Mr. Landon Eno or Ms. Rachel Whitehead. On February 22nd, 2021, Mr. Eno was informed via written correspondence that his request for an appeal was granted and that the appeal would be held at a special meeting on March 3rd, 2021. Notice was also given that the special meeting would immediately convene following the regularly scheduled city council committee meetings. That notice granting the appeal was served on Mr. Eno on February 24th, 2021. I believe Lance has given the council a copy of the property, a copy of the photographs of the property as it stands today. Not to go back to the presentation again, but as we see, there's still an inordinate amount of movable items and junk on the premises. And in my legal opinion, counsel, I think the property is still in violation of your ordinances. And, of course, we do have the separate proceeding going on in criminal court against Ms. Whitehead. And the judge found, just last week that the property was also in violation, and criminal action was taken. So at this time, if Mr. Eno is here for his appeal, he will have the right to address the council. Lance, is there anybody in the hall who might have a chance? Again, council, Mr. Eno was served. He did request an appeal, and he did receive notice of the day that it was heard. So the matter is before the council. I would recommend that the appeal be denied, as there's nobody here to speak on the property.
This, to me, is just another example of how bizarre this whole thing has become.
And before we go, we are required to go to the audience in case any interested members of the audience would like to speak as well.
Y'all know how we feel. We're here, so.
We're not gonna beat this dead horse tonight.
I move.
Second.
So this is a motion to deny the appeal
Yes.
Correct.
and to proceed with the abatement action. And just so the council knows, if they'll get a written, Mr. Eno will get a written receipt of the decision, and from there, he will have 5 days if he would like to appeal the council's decision here tonight to the 18th Judicial District Court.
As far as I'm concerned, you can appeal till the cows come home. The thing about it is, we're staying here for a special meeting, and he doesn't have the decency to come up here and do this.
Let's just vote on it.
That's indicative of it's not gonna be cleaned up. You've had 20 days from when y'all served the paper until tonight, and nothing's been done. So what makes us think that anything's gonna be done? So, that's my feeling.
All right, I got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Revere. Any objections to the motion to deny?
Ms.
Hearing
Gordon?
none? Hearing none?
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Revere?
Yeah.
Motion granted. Thank y'all. Agenda item 5, consider authorizing Mayor Lee to hire Joe Deloach on a temporary part-time basis in the sewer department. Council, as you know, I spoken early, Ryan Garlington, the former supervisor of the wastewater treatment plant, retired effective last week. The final day was last week. And we're down to one Class 3 operator who has half of his certification, just enough to operate the wastewater treatment plant. But the state law requires that we have a Class 3 operator, a Class 3 treatment operator and a Class 3 collection operator. So Mr. Deloach, who y'all know, has worked with us in the past. He has his Class 4 operator's license, and he will fill in that void when needed so that we will not be in violation of that state order.
You all keep saying has needed or part-time. And I know Mr. Deloach, if he get hired, he wanna know what he gonna be hired as, part-time or has needed. Has needed is he gonna sit at home and wait until the other supervisor can't come to work, and then he go to work. Now, is part-time mean you gonna be there every day for so many hours, or what? What are you saying, Mayor? Is it part-time or as needed?
Ma'am, as a retiree, you can only work part-time. Okay, that's 30 hours, no, the maximum 30 hours a week. You also have a limit on the amount of money he can make a month, which is $2,000, which is way less than the supervisor. So he has said that he will work with us so that we will be in compliance, that he will be an hour from the plant anytime he is needed. But in the time being, he will be working at this wastewater treatment plant up to the amount of $2,000 a month.
So he'll just be hired as part-time until we find someone?
Until we get a licensed operator qualified to operate that plant.
And we have advertising for that now.
Yes.
We have advertised for several months and we have no takers right now.
And it's not the first time we've been through this rodeo.
That's correct. And we also have, we're getting ready to send 2 employees to training to get their certification.
And they'll be class 3 treatment operator.
One will be able to get his full class 3 in collections. And the other 2 operators, they both have a class 1, so they got to still work on getting the class 2.
Mayor, do we have any part-time positions in that department right now?
No.
So it's essentially, it's a creation of a new part-time position as well.
Well, we have a vacancy, so the position, whether it's full-time or part-time, we have 2 vacant positions in that department.
Full-time position, but he's only gonna work part-time.
Right.
So you're going to put him in that full-time position, or
Right.
you're going to create a new
No,
part-time?
we got 2 vacancies. We got a vacancy for a full-time operator and a vacancy that the sergeant, I mean not the sergeant, but the supervisor vacated. Yeah.
So he's only gonna work part-time.
So it basically is that we're gonna hire him as part-time. So is he gonna be, able to, will he be doing the same work as the workers doing now? Or we just gonna have him there just for his life?
He's gonna be doing the same work as the workers that they are now. The only thing, he's not gonna be a supervisor. Right.
That'd be conflicts of interest.
Right.
And it's conflictual because he have somebody working.
Yes, his daughter is one of our employees, so he cannot supervise.
So do we need to hire another worker also?
Yeah, and we still have another vacancy, and I'm still searching for, hopefully we can find that another class 3 operator, because at the end of the day, even with the one we have now, if he gets sick or go on vacation, whatever,
But I'm just saying.
we don't have anybody to operate.
We got 2, 3 operating now, how many is supposed to be at the plant now?
You have
6?
to have a class 3 operator to.
I'm not asking that question. I'm asking how many employees do we need at the sewage plant for it to be a whole staff? I know we have, 3 now? Do we need to hire 3 more new workers besides the class 4 action? Do we need to have more operators? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am, we need to have at least 2 full-time operators, 2 additional full-time operators.
That's what I want to ask.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the 2 current positions that we have still open.
Okay.
Yeah, I know this is a personnel matter, we can't get into any big specifics, but other than Mr. Bradford and Mr. Delos's daughter, and I'm calling by my name, but she's been here the shortest. And the third employee, how long has he been employed? Do you recall off the top?
Yeah. He's been here for he started off in roads and drainage, and he transferred from there to wastewater treatment.
4 years? Because that, to me, that's where we build a big, a strong, department. Is our employees, taking it upon themselves, and I've said this before, to go to the classes that are offered to and get and maintain their certification. I'm not saying it's easy, but to me, that's what a good employee does. not pat myself on the back, but I started as a grunt worker in my 9-to-5 job. I ended up staying there 34 years, retired as a supervisor, and worked my way up because that's what I hope, that's the environment I hope we can create and start building. That seems to have been lacking for the past few years. And it's part of the reason we're in the jam that we're in now.
Well, I do believe everybody have that option
They
to
do.
move up. So if they're not taking that seriously and to be able to move up the ladder like that, then it just put us back in a predicament of having to, make these type of decisions based on them not moving any forward.
And I know, we can't do it, but I know in the private industry, if you don't, take it upon yourself and take the initiative to, maintain your certificate, they'll let you go. It's just, that's how it's done.
Well, I'm
Offering any incentives for them moving out here, like they get incentives.
Yeah, we get paid.
Well,
That's why I just don't understand why. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a grouchy old man.
No, it's a valid concern, and just for clarification purposes, the reality with these sewer treatment plant employees is that it's an incremental graduated schedule. You can't go from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. You have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And there has to be a combination of experience, years of experience on the job or education. So if you have a college degree, so to speak, you get so many points or credits, and you can qualify to sit for an exam at a certain level. But absent the years of experience or the educational experience, you have to go as you graduate through the years that you work for an actual operator. So the reality, and that's why we presented the options before about hiring before we really need it, so that people can begin the process, because we have the same certification requirements in water and gas. So we currently have 2 employees in water and gas, that have level 1, and they're going to school, and one's going in 2 weeks, the other's going next month to continue their training to move up the ladder. But the way the state runs those certification programs now, you have to go incrementally. And so we're just trying to be proactive. Every employee currently employed has been strongly encouraged to obtain whatever certifications are available to them, because I put them on notice that I can't carry them any longer. We have to get these positions filled, and it's put up or shut up time. So, the opportunities are there. We did lose a year, and I want to make sure we reiterate that, just like we've lost a year like everyone else, because there were classes scheduled at the onset of the pandemic, and those classes were canceled, and they've just started to reschedule classes again. And quite frankly, those classes aren't easy to get into. They fill up relatively quickly, and they are not the most convenient. The last class we attempted to put someone in was in Bossier City. And so, we'd have to pay for that travel time to stay up there for the 4 days or 5 days and so on and so forth. So there are multiple obstacles to getting the training done. The next 2 classes that we have people enrolled in are in Denham Springs. So at least they can stay at their homes and travel daily and get that training underway. But it's just the nature of the beast that you cannot go from 1 to 4. You have to go incrementally. So we're trying to identify those people and put them on the path to success. Thank you.
And in all actuality, man, going from classification from 1, if you at 1, that could take about
5 years to get to the point, at least, maybe 6, if I'm not mistaken. But you can combine your years of experience and education. So if you have college credits, they do not require a degree. They'll give you credit for a number of credits. It just depends on where you fall on the list. But I could definitely supplement you with that information, the specifics.
Right, and also, Mayor, if we don't have that, class 4, we will be fined, correct?
Yeah.
You for not having a certified class 4?
I'm not having a certified, we have to have a minimum of class 3.
But we do have one, but he's not.
He don't have his full,
always with the-
right, he don't have his full, he don't have his,
Both of them.
qualification collection.
If I'm remembering correctly, last time we looked at it, due to port out, well, classifications go all the way up to 4.
The state
Depending on your city size is what you actually have to have, and based on port out and city size, we only have to have a 3.
Right.
But now that 3 has to be there under certain conditions. You only have.
Well, we don't have any more discussion on it. I make a motion for the hire part-time as needed.
Is that it?
Well, a few things to consider though. So essentially, the motion is going to be to authorize the mayor to fill one of the open full-time positions on a part-time basis. And what other criteria does the council want? We mentioned the $2,000 per month cap. Does the council want to set an hourly rate? And what duration of time, if any, does the council want to authorize for that? So I guess 3 little factors to consider as part of that motion.
Well, based on the fact that he's a retiree, he's only allotted so much time, so that he can.
But he can only work, according to Mayor, you
So I
said
don't think we
$2,000
even have
per
to
month.
decide on that.
Right, that's the max.
That would be the absolute maximum amount of money they could earn, would be $2,000 per month. Now, you pay him $1,000 per hour, he can only work 2 hours. You know, but so your rate is gonna depend on how much actual hours he can put in.
So would that, the as-needed language, would that cover it? Or we have to be more specific?
Well, I think that,
hourly rate?
I think, you know, that's what those 3 things will help flush out, you know, what is as needed.
Okay.
So in other words, we don't have to give him the 2,000 max. Is that what you agreed on, or that was offered him?
You could do that. I mean, you'd have to define more, you have to go into a little bit more detail on what is as needed. It could be an as needed basis up to a maximum of $2,000. Now you're not just saying it's $2,000, you can work all the way up to $2,000, whatever this as needed is gonna be, up to $2,000.
Is that what we've done
If it's
previously?
as needed, even beyond $2,000, of course you won't be able to do that. For his own, as a result of the council's resolution and because of the retirement system issues.
So he won't be needed daily. So how will,
He will be needed basically daily, but,
about how many hours daily?
what we done last time, if y'all remember, how many hours, is it a little different because, Ron, retired? I'm gonna tell you, last time, he left here making $24 an hour. He came back working part-time at $20 an hour. And that was on his part so that he can work more hours to cover that area that needs to be covered. And that's still, he still went over those hours, so, yeah. The 2,000 maximum is basically the number we need to work around. He's gonna be paid each month, yes, sir.
Are we positive that Mr. Deloche does currently have these, I know you have to do certain tasks to maintain your certification.
Yes, sir, he does.
You're positive with that?
Yes, sir, yeah. In fact, you can go online and he's listed online. State certification.
Okay, so you have the $2,000.
So 5 days a week?
So you waiting on his hourly rate?
How many? Marilyn?
If you don't
5 days
put
a
it
week?
in this.
How many hours a day?
It will vary between 4 to 8 hours a day.
So you got a motion?
But all he can make is part-time.
We got a motion?
Well, Mayor, I got some information that shows that the hours attained are 0, and the hours required are 8 to have the certification. I mean, I just don't want us to do something that's gonna get ourselves in a bind, legally or ethically.
Wait, what are you saying?
Just some information, you have to have certain hours and to maintain your certification. And like water, gas certification, wastewater, natural gas.
Okay.
And I just had, it shows where hours attained are 0, hours required 8.
Yeah, you got to have at least 8 hours of.
But it shows hours attained are 0, that he hasn't.
If anybody goes to that site, they'll tell you that it's not up to date.
It's not up to date.
It's not up to date,
Is that-
and I can guarantee you he's got the hours because I paid for it.
Okay, I mean, that's the question I
Right,
have.
but read, whoever gave you that info, just read it real good. The site is not up to date.
Okay, I see where it says, hours listed are current as of, okay, August 5th, 2020. So since August, Ms. Carolyn?
He took the class in 19, in the year, December of 19.
You said this is saying hours listed are current as of August 5th, 2020.
I understand what you're saying, but if you go to the site, it says it has not been updated for this year. So I don't know if everybody else is showing correct? Or was he the only one that was,
Well, I mean, it shows, Mr. Bradford, hours attained 22, hours attained 28, hours required 8.
I think Mr. Deloach should be here to answer these questions instead of his wife. 'cause he-
no, I can answer, but why would I try to do something illegal?
No,
I mean,
I'm not saying.
Not saying you
judging
can't.
anybody.
I understand, but, you know,
And counsel, you could always make
And I
the
was-
whole thing contingent upon verification from the state.
Contingent upon verification.
Sound like a winner.
Contingent upon
I
verification.
mean, if there's a question about whether this is even possible or not, essentially you got 2 options. One, you defer the matter and contact the state and circle back next week, or number 2, approve it conditionally upon the class 4 being in place, the state confirming that the class 4 is
I
active.
think something like this would come.
Yeah, I say let's make
Well,
it contingent
I can tell you
upon.
right now, I could even help you a little bit. If you're gonna start going all this way, he's gonna probably say, forget it.
Because they wouldn't give you a
He's
license.
trying to do the city a favor. The city won't get fined. But all of this snooping and whatever, trying to get information on you, I know what I paid out of my pocket. I didn't ask the city to pay for that.
And Mr. Revere, to count on that, I know for a fact that when my employees took the exam, they don't give you a license until they make sure you got all your points. Okay, and then they wouldn't put you on the list. So he is on the list, and he did take the test, and I'm aware of it, and he did pass it.
And just to
License.
piggyback on that, I'm looking at the Louisiana Department of Health website right now. It says, "We are aware that hours and licenses are not showing correctly. For this reason, we have taken the report down to avoid further confusion. We are waiting until updates are made to the program to update the report." So that's right here in living color.
Well, I agree with the mayor's suggestion, or Evan's suggestion, no, I agree with Evan's suggestion to pass a contingent on if it is all.
Well, I'm
I'm sure the mayor got all the.
sure the mayor have
Like it went through
verified
it if he
this.
done all right.
We wouldn't be having this discussion. Mayor,
Mayor, did you have proof, that he have his, certificate?
Yes, ma'am. He's been certified.
And just to reiterate, the site also says, be reminded that operators are responsible for keeping track of their hours. This hour report is just a courtesy we provide. That's straight from the Louisiana Department of Health operator certification site. So, feel free to peruse that at your convenience.
So where we left off at on the motion?
Charlie.
There was about 3 or 4 little items that the council would need to, I guess, clarify. per month cap, you can
You got-
set an hourly rate, which will help you set the amount of hours essentially that you would be able to work. Is there a maximum term, are you authorizing this for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year, indefinitely?
Yeah, definitely.
Of
We
course,
can't say
it- contingent on state law.
But I mean, when we have that, we'll have that option if it's indefinite to make that decision if he stays for that following week or month or whatever the case may be. If it's indefinitely, or we have to cap it off.
No, you don't have to cap it.
You don't have to.
Yeah, because if we cap it off, we go be right back here again asking for him to come back till we get somebody else.
Until the mayor would want to put somebody else in the position.
Right. When you find them. Correct.
So what we do have in place, we have it, this position, we have an advertisement in place. Correct?
We've had it
We have an,
Yeah, it's been advertised.
For how long?
We
Yeah,
had,
no,
one of those jobs was advertised years ago, and it's been open ever since. The other job was put out when Mr. Darlington informed us of his retirement.
Okay.
His last
So it's
day was
two of them.
February 15th. We have two full-time openings at the wastewater treatment facility. It is set for 5 positions, supervisor, 4 operators. We currently have 3 operators, and Mr. Bradford is the acting supervisor. Pending.
Mr. Bradford is one of the 3 operators
Yeah,
and is also functioning as a.
Acting
as an acting
supervisor.
supervisor temporarily until he either obtains the full class 3 or a full-time applicant presents documentation and credentials to be hired as a full-time operator.
and Mr. Bradley is working towards that.
Yes, well, he tried to do it last year, but, all of the classes were canceled. And so he's been, strongly encouraged to obtain the certification he needs to perform the job as full. But temporarily, he already has a certification in treatment, which is what's required for the plant portion of the department. The other portion of the department is collection, which involves the system around the city. So this hire is being made to ensure that we have a certified operator in the area of collection available to us to meet the requirements of the state licensing. Nothing more, nothing less.
It seems like we have a solution here, we just have to work out the logistics, as in, it relates to Mr. Deloach. Now, you were saying before, he came in making 20, well, he kind of decreased his rate to 20, correct?
Right, last time he worked part-time, he reduced his hours from when he left here at 24 to 20 so that he can work more hours to cover the shifts.
So we're at $20 for the rate. Then we need a term.
Yeah, I mean, at that rate, that's $160 a day, $800 a
$20 hour.
That's definitely gonna
Right.
go over his 2,000 cap. Even going down to $15, that's $120 a day and $600 a month. That's still gonna go over his.
But he's not working all day.
You say about 8 hours a day?
No, part-time.
Part-time.
Okay, so
Part-time.
4.
Yeah.
So what we asking for 3 hours or 4 hours a day?
We just saying as
4
needed.
hours?
As needed.
Y'all can put that as needed.
But there's certain duties
Is he gonna
that,
be part-time
yes.
or as needed?
That's one and the same, huh?
Whatever.
Part-time means you work less than 30 hours
I
a
know
week.
what part-time
Okay.
means. You keep saying
So,
as needed.
so some days he might work 4 hours, some days he might work 8 hours. But the maximum amount of hours he can work is less than 30.
Councilwoman Gordon, the reason we're saying as needed is because we have a certified operator at the plant with a with a wastewater treatment level 3. Mr. Deloach has level 4 at wastewater collection and treatment. In order to be fully compliant, we need at least a level 3 in collection. Collection involves work around the city at residences, right, manholes, sewer system. Wastewater treatment is the plant. We're saying as needed because we don't perform, they're at the plant every day, but they don't perform work in the field, in the collection system, daily. It's just monitoring the pumps and the meters associated with those different facilities. But as far as having to go into the ground or perform any type of substantive maintenance, that's an as-needed occurrence. It's not. But he just has to be present and knowledgeable about what needs to take place. This is a temporary stopgap measure, so,
We
yeah,
need Mr.
go ahead.
DeLoach to be in compliance.
Nance, I'm not arguing about,
Okay.
We need.
I just don't want y'all to keep saying part-time and has needed. Just say.
But those two things can't coexist at the same time. We're saying as needed up to a level of part-time. I'm sorry? Say that again? What happened?
I'm looking at as needed as like,
Uh-huh.
he's at home and we need him to be on the site right then and there and not every day. That's what I'm trying to get y'all just to say, forget the as needed, just say part-time.
Well, the other thing with that, Ms. Gordon, you have to realize too, that if it's a situation where he's needed out in the field and he's not working that day, you have to call him from his house to come out there and work.
Right.
So he's staying at home in the area, and he's only like 2 blocks from the plant. So he's not like he's living in Baker or where Mr. Bradford lived at. He's only 2 blocks from the plant. He can get to. So, so they got to be. So the employee has to be on the job site within the hour of being called, and he's that person.
And he has the certifications as well.
Right.
I know we need Mr. DeLoach and whatever we need to do,
So
get in there or whatever.
just to clarify, so you feel comfortable, we just say he's hired part-time up to $2,000 a month?
I feel confused how it's part-time, but whatever the council member decides on his pay.
Well, we're trying to clarify the motion. So the motion is that he's hired part-time with a maximum earning capacity of $2,000 monthly. Is that sufficient, Mr. Alvarez?
Trying to summarize what I'm getting from the council, that the motion would be to authorize the mayor to fill one of the open full-time positions with a part-time employee with the following criteria. The employee can only work a maximum of $2,000 per month, hourly rate $20, for an indefinite term, with the motion being conditional on verification with the state that the applicant has a Class 4 certification.
So indefinite.
Is that your motion?
Indefinite means the council is not putting a 2-month limit where this automatically goes away in 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or a year or whatever.
And then we have to come right back and do this dance again.
What's the
Is that your
immediacy
motion,
for this
Mr.
position?
Yeah.
What's the immediacy? We need.
Since last Monday, huh?
Did we need it like yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we can't motion to wait till we get verification on his certification, then that'll take us into another month.
But that's why we make it contingent upon.
You can direct the mayor to verify.
So that's everything we.
You gonna say?
Ms. McCain?
Yeah, I
you
see.
need a budget amendment on this, correct? Because this would not.
The money.
create a whole-
This current fiscal year, because you have enough funding left in Ron's line, but there is no funded additional position that they keep talking about. It's not funded in the sewer treatment plant. That's about it. Nobody asked me.
Well, you're wrong, Ms. McCain.
Step up to the podium.
The issue though is budget amendment as of right now, because we have 2 of them. This would not throw off more than 5.
It would not, because there's money funded in the line item for Ron Garlington's line. So there's certainly a slot to fill that in. The council in the past has authorized a supervisor and 4. That is accurate. The budget you adopted does not have 4 slots. So you would need to fund it. That's all I said. And no, I'm not wrong.
Yes, you are.
That's disrespectful to the mayor.
Okay, you got a motion and a second.
I second.
Brandon seconds.
Are we motioning to fill?
Yeah, it's motion.
No,
Just
just one, okay.
I got a motion by Councilman Brown.
No,
yeah, Gordon. I second. Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, second, Councilwoman Gordon, second by Councilman Brown. Any objection? Hearing none?
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble? No. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy? I'm sorry. What is the motion? What do we vote? Please give it to me again.
To hire Deloach part-time.
The motion is to authorize the mayor to fill one of the open full-time positions with a part-time employee with the following criteria. The employee will earn no more than a maximum of $2,000 per month, hourly rate $20 per hour, with an indefinite term, conditional on the mayor's verification with the state of Louisiana that the employee possesses a Class 4 license. And we'll revisit the issue on funding to see if we got to tidy up any loose ends at next month's meeting.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Mr. Revere?
Yes.
Okay, 4-1.
Motion passes. Thank y'all.
Announcement.
Agenda item 6, announcements. I have none. Anybody have any announcements? Hearing none. Agenda item 7, adjourn.